To all those that are out there on this wonderful, wonderful Sunday morning, Easter Sunday, 2023. Here we go and here we grow. As in Southern Ontario, we're seeing the temperature start to very much increase quite a bit, especially during this week. We've seen a load of rain last week. So my anticipation is this week we're going to start to see things really grow. We already have crocuses popping out of the ground all over the place. Daffodils now quickly emerging, as well as tulips. You have your snowdrops that are out there as well, some of your scilla, some of your hyacinths as well that are popping out of the ground. So it is an exceptional, wonderful time of year. And thanks for joining me on this beautiful, beautiful Sunday morning. I don't know how many people are going to be popping on. I had some streaming issues earlier too. So just let me know if you're there. Oh, I can see a couple that are there, which is good. We're working. We're doing well. Happy Easter to you this morning too, Lacey, Ashley, up there at Crank and Sprocket. We are going to come see you probably this week, just to give you a heads up. That's what the plan is. So I'll send you some information on that too, because my son's still in the search for a bike and Ashley's helping me out there. Michael, good morning to you as well from Toronto. Matthew saying a good morning to you as well. And Tanya, happy Easter to you and your family as well. So Tanya just came back from the spring plant trials. We're going to talk a little bit about that, not this show, but I want to get Tanya on here to talk a little bit more about that as well. And she can kind of give some of the info that's out there. Okay, speaking of plants and speaking of Easter, the one thing that I want to kind of really draw your attention to is that this is the time of year that we tend to put some of these into our homes. Probably one of the most popular selling potted plants at this time of the year for this weekend is the wonderful Easter lily. So the Easter lily, of course, by that white flower, and it has the yellow stamen just in the center. You can make them last a little bit longer if you actually take the yellow part of that the flower that you see there on the right, that yellow. If you remove those, that will make the flower last a little bit longer, but it can actually stain some of your clothing. So be careful. But the reason why I really want to draw the attention to the Easter lily is that if you do have cats, if you do have dogs that like to eat plants, keep them away from the Easter lily. The Easter lily is a plant that's completely, the entire thing, the flowers, the stems, the leaves, and the bulb themselves can be harmful to pets that are out there. So we want to make sure that your pets are nice and safe on this Easter as well. Connie giving a shout out this morning as well. Good morning, Frankie from Markham. We got a happy Easter from Maria to the entire family, to your family as well. My boys are still sleeping. As a matter of fact, my youngest son, right after this, is I'm going to take him up to Mount St. Louis because today is the last day for skiing in Ontario, from what I know of. So he's going to be running up there to get in the last day of skiing. So we're still skiing on this day. That's what's great about early spring. Hi, Frankie. Good morning as well from Francine. Good morning to you. Ashley saying amazing. Can't wait to see us, which is great. Nancy, good morning. So let's talk a little bit, and happy Easter to everybody out there as well. So a couple fun facts. I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of some fun information about Easter as well. So do you know how the Easter basket, if we think about the traditional Easter basket, here's a fun fact, maybe that you didn't know. The traditional, this is some of my reading that I did. The traditional Easter basket was always a woven basket, and it was often a woven straw basket. And if you wonder why that was, well, of course, it was to collect Easter eggs, but also it was to mimic and or resemble a nest. So we're collecting an egg and putting that egg into a nest. Pretty cool, right? And the other reason why often at Easter, why we've kind of gotten into the fact where a lot of people have ham at Easter, of course, those celebrating Passover wouldn't have ham. But the reason why ham is a popular, well, it was a popular product at this time of the year, or a proper meal at this time of the year, is when it was actually taken and then cured, the hams would be ready at this time. So that winter ham, that fall ham that was cured during the winter months, it was ready in the spring. So that's another fun fact as well that's out there. And Easter eggs, they have medieval origins. So the Easter egg is from medieval times. A priest would give one of the choir boys a hard-boiled egg, and the boy would pass it among themselves till the clock struck midnight, when whoever was holding it got to eat it. Hopefully it had some salt and pepper. That's what this says too. But that's kind of the tradition. So there's are a few Easter traditions just that you can actually share at your table today if you're celebrating Easter that's out there. I'm anticipating as well Right now, we got a lot of people out there saying good morning and happy Easters to us, which is so great. That's out there. We got lots of another happy Easter from Marlene. That's there. We have another happy Easter out there from Mary, from Everett. Good morning to you too. We got another shout out this morning and a happy Easter to you and your family from Lynn. My good friend Susan up there in Cottage Country saying happy Easter as well. And we got John saying happy Easter as well. Got a question here and a happy Easter from Jen. And I love the questions, guys. What is the best variety of rhubarb? I'm looking at buying one of the bulbs. Thank you. So when it comes to the world of rhubarb, I'm not an aficionado in terms of the best varieties at this time. But what we're going to do, oh, what did I just do there? Oh, something just fell. That was my phone. Those things happen. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to type in just as memory, because it's been a little bit a while since I looked at rhubarb varieties, and then I can variety. So let's just take a look here. So you can easily do this as a Google search, but also some of the people that are on the chat today, if you want to kind of share with me what you feel is the best rhubarb variety that you have in your garden that is doing the best for you right now, that would be incredibly helpful. I'm just doing a little bit of typing in the good old Googs to see what we kind of find out that's here. There's a Canadian red rhubarb that's available as well, and Canada red. Canada red is the one that is kind of coming up here, even from Foodland, Ontario. So the Canada red rhubarb, it has outstanding stalks at harvest. It produces a red stalks in early spring. This sweet variety is perfect for sauces and pies and requires less sugar. So cold hardy and heat tolerant, developed in Canada, harvests in May through June, self-pollinating. So that's the Canada red rhubarb. So if you're thinking about one of the varieties that actually comes up in my Google searches quite quickly is the Canada red. So if anybody else has some good suggestions out there, make sure you shoot those out to me at this current time as well. So we're going to go boom, hide, do this, do that. And we're going to take a look at, we got another shout out from Brampton this morning. That's there. Here's another little question that we have. So this is from Karen. What is the best way to keep fresh tulips straight in a vase? I've heard to put a penny in the vase or to put a pinhole in the base of the bloom. So the thing about pennies was always the copper, and the copper would prevent them from growing as fast. So the thing about when you put tulips in a vase, you have to cut your tulips a little bit shorter at right at the beginning. Because what happens is you'll think, well, I'm cutting them to measure the height of the vase, but when we put them in the vase, they actually grow. So they actually will grow in the vase. So if we cut them shorter, when they do grow, they'll actually hold tight on the vase, because the vase is what's holding them the top. So when they grow taller, they actually fall over. You can recut them after they actually sprout if you want, and that would actually help you as well. The thought about putting a penny was pennies used to be made of copper, and that copper in the bottom of the vase, is when it would mix in with the water, would prevent a little bit of that happening. The pinhole is probably the best method, or just cutting them shorter. So those are two. But a lot of people don't know that they will grow in the vase after they have been cut. That's out there. We got a good morning, and thanks for the sunshine, Frankie. This week, guys, is going to be magnificent here in Southern Ontario. Super excited. We got sunshine today with double-digit highs, low double digits. Tomorrow, going to see temperatures in the teens. Tuesday, Blue Jay home opener, possibility and potential of having temperatures in the 20s for that day, continuing warm into Wednesday, and then Thursday we'll get back to more seasonal. If you're wondering where seasonal highs should be for Southern Ontario for this time of year, the average seasonal high in Toronto right now should be right around 10 degrees. Do you think I do weather? There you go. I can break into a weather forecast at any moment. We got another good morning this morning. Good, Frankie, thank you for all the info and inspiration. Sonia, thank you guys for joining me here as well. Something that I want to dive a little bit into this morning, just to kind of let people know what they should be watching out there for as well, or maybe just to remind them. I want to remind them about this weed, crabgrass. So crabgrass is an annual weed that grows in our lawn, that if you look at the plant that's there that I'm showing in the images in C, and even if you look at the image D, you can see how that grass kind of spreads out. It's got a wider blade of grass, but it almost mimics the shape of it of a crab crawling across your lawn in a grass form. That's why it's called crabgrass. So what are the causes of crabgrass? So the turf is mowed too low. That cause, what happens is it then allows exposed soil because crabgrass is an annual weed that grows by seed, but will produce a lot of seeds during the summer months. So if we have exposure to soil being cut too low, then those seeds will germinate. What we can do at this time of the year is we can put it down a pre-emergent. The pre-emergent that's available now due to the cosmetic pesticide ban, something like a Scott's Turf Weed Preventer. That's Scott's Turf Weed Preventer, and I can actually type that in for you to show you as well. That is made from corn gluten, and that corn gluten is what will help prevent the weed seeds from not germinating. I just got to do this, Turf Builder. Excuse me. There's the allergies kicking in too. You know it's spring, guys. Weed preventer. I just want to show you what it looks like. So once again, this is a corn gluten type product that's out there. It is going to, you apply it down and it will actually prevent, just going to show you what the bag looks like. Where are we there? I don't know what I'm looking at. Maybe I'm going to do this another time because I want to make sure I show you guys the proper bag that's out there. So I will show you. There we go. That's the herbicide. So oh, there we go. It's actually Turf Builder Weed and Feed. They've done some new packaging that's out there. I'm going to show it to you right now in this so you guys can see. And I forgot that they did some new packaging that's out there. But here you go. So that's what it looks like. And you can see that it has the picture of a dandelion. It actually will help prevent dandelions, but more so will prevent and inhibit the germination of crabgrass. You can see that's 100% corn gluten meal, which is a natural weed seed preventer. So the corn gluten, once you apply that down, you have to wait 6 weeks before you put grass seed down because it'll actually prevent the germination of any seed. But we need to put it down before seeds crack and germinate. So this week, I was just telling you about the warm temperatures. Well, we got to get it on early this week if you had a crabgrass problem, because that by the end of this week, I'm anticipating that some weed seeds will start to germinate out there. So we got to put it down once the snow melts. We put it down, and then that will prevent the seeds from germinating because it is a corn gluten. If you buy it and you don't use it all and you need to store it, make sure you store it in a Rubbermaid tin because it is very attractive to mice and things like that because it is made from corn. We got a happy Easter here in frosty morning in Wasaga Beach, but it's going to be a beautiful day. It's starting off chilly, but it's going to end absolutely stunning out there, guys. Good morning, Frankie. Thank you for all your information. We already did that one. We got a shout out to St. Catharines this morning. Going to give a shout out to that as well. Bill Kennedy, give a shout out to you as well. Tanya giving us a tip as well. Keep your Easter lilies white when cutting out the stamen to lay the tissue inside the bloom, then cut it out so the pollen falls on the tissue and doesn't stain the bloom, which is good because if you do, I've removed so many that I don't typically stain the bloom, but if you go to remove those yellow stamen, they will, if they fall in the bloom, they will stain the bloom. They'll stain everything, Tanya, and you know that because you've dealt with many of them. So you got to be very careful even on your clothing because you can have that beautiful, you have that beautiful new Easter shirt or that Easter dress that you're wearing for dinner and you're carrying an Easter lily for those people and you're carrying it and you let it rub on you and then you go to hand them the Easter lily and you say Happy Easter and then you look and your shirt is filled with like this yellowy orange and that's the stamen. Good shout out this morning to Cordova Mines, shouting out to you there as well. Happy Easter from St. John's out there. Good morning to you in NL and Newfoundland. I'll always love to see you guys out there as well. We got a question that's coming here as well. A lady that loves butterflies told me I can throw my swamp milkweed in the ditch now. Is this true? It is true because the milkweed, of course, is going to be, it actually grows in fairly poor soils. So milkweed, of course, is that beautiful weed that is really beneficial for monarch butterflies. So the milkweed's super beneficial and really important as well. Milkweed is an annual one that will grow by seed, but it usually grows by seed by the dropping of the seeds. So the seeds now, as long as your ditch has some area where there's some soil that those seeds can make contact to, it'll germinate. If that ditch is really filled with a whole bunch of plant material that's very invasive and aggressive, it may be hard for the milkweed to try to germinate and get through there because once it tries to germinate, that lawn or the weeds that are in there could be so tall that they'll shade out the weed seeds, not giving it enough light to support. Once the weed germinates, the milkweed germinates, it won't get enough light to support those leaves on that milkweed. So it can help. Just make sure your ditch is not too overgrown that's there. We have another shout out this morning and happy Easter from Muskoka. Thank you for the advice last week for starting dahlias inside. Started them the next day and they are now coming up, which is great. So you figure out now we're leaning our way into the second week of April. So by the end of May, that's going to be, they'll be in there for at least 6 to 7 weeks. It should be a very nice, beautiful dahlia. And then by the time we get to the end of May, your frost-free Muskoka can be planted outside and you're in beautiful, beautiful shape that's out there. Linda giving us a shout out and good morning as well. Happy Easter. We're getting a shout out this morning from Jenny. Good morning. Happy Easter to your family from the Jenna Lee Farms. To all those out there in the farming community today, thank you for making not only, there's many different variations and types of farms that are out there, but thank you for putting food on the table, flowers in vases, because really greenhouse growers are farmers. They're growing something that's out there that we all enjoy, but to all the farmers out there, let's give a shout out today on this Easter. Happy Easter. He is risen indeed. Indeed, he has. Connie this morning. Hi, Frankie. I'm looking to get married in November. Okay. And I'm thinking about giving a plant that I've grown as favors. Do you have any idea of any plants that I can easily grow? Succulent. So if we think about November and we think about a plant that can last for a long period of time, what I would consider doing, you could actually start growing now easily, and you'll have smaller ones, and you'll actually have a few, because what I would do is put a few cuttings. I put 3 cuttings in a 4-inch pot. And that would be a Christmas cacti or cactus. So those Christmas cactus, which if we could get timing right, you could actually even have them to bloom November. But that's a little bit more difficult, even if you just want to grow them on. The Christmas cactus is a plant that will last. Some of them can last 25 years. Some of them I know last 50 years. They can last an exceptionally large period of time. They're not only easy for you to grow, so it may be hard for you to find a Christmas cacti, but you may be able to reach out to some friends and see if anybody has a larger established one. And then you can just take a bunch of cuttings from them and then root them in a cacti soil. That is a fantastic plant that you can use. The issue that you're having with November is then we're going into a darker period of time. The other one that you could do is spider plants. Spider plants, easy to germinate, lots of babies on a spider. They're also a really nice little house plant that you can give. And then those guys as well will do well when your people are taking them with them. So pothos is something else. So think about some of the indoor tropical plants, because you can't really do anything that we're going to be putting outside, because in November we could have snow at that time of year. We're getting into really low daylight hours that are there as well. So those are some options. So Christmas cacti, spider plant, pothos, easy. You could even try jades, but jades, by November, you're not going to have that big of a jade plant, but jades are something too that you could actually try as well. So there you go. We got another shout out this morning and a happy Easter. We need to spray for grubs and also want to apply fertilizer. And what order should we apply those? So what I would do is it depends on how bad you have for grub control. If you don't have bad grubs right now, bad grub damage, let's say that you're already starting to see things digging in your lawn, starting to see mold tunnels, I would apply the grub control in the next week. No problem whatsoever. But if you don't have that damage, you can apply the fertilizer, let that fertilizer stay there for a couple weeks, and then put the grub control on thereafter. Once again, with any type of grub control, my preferred is Grub Be Gone, but you might be using nematodes because you're saying the spraying. But for any type of grub control, you need to make sure that your lawn's wet first. You apply it down, either spraying it and or applying it, and then it has to be watered in. So doing it on a day when it's raining, so it's already rained that night, you put it down, and it's going to rain again later that day. That is ideal for grub control. But you can put them on, you can actually put them on very close together. It's not going to have, even if you did them a few days apart, wouldn't cause any problems out there as well. They're totally different things that are going to do different functions on the lawn. Savita is saying good morning from Oakville this morning. Good morning to you. My good friend Matthew Amos, happy Easter to you as well. Get an email with my new autographs. Tom Selleck, got an autograph from him. And Christian Amfors, autograph, CNN this week. I'm telling you, Matthew is a friend and a fan of everybody out there who has probably one of the most interesting collection of autographs. Like he has tons that are out there. When is the best time to plant watermelon seeds from Diane Hughes? So Diane, watermelon are a quick growing plant. So if we think about watermelon, cucumbers, squash, zucchini, all the same family of plants, right? Very fast to grow, but they're all what's called a warm crop. So we need to make sure that the soil temperature is nice and warm because they will like a warmer soil. So that soil temperature should be closer to 20 degrees. And then as well, we want to make sure that we're having longer daylight hours and a nicer, more consistent frost-free weather. So generally, we're planting our cucumbers and our watermelons in about the last week of May, first week of June, generally the first week of June. Quick to germinate. So those guys there, they'll germinate within like a few days, and then they'll actually have a nice plant within 2 to 3 weeks. So you're usually planting those if you want to start them indoors and get them going a little quicker. I would do it the second week of May, first to second week of May inside, or plant them directly in the garden outside in June. Just mark the areas where you plant them, and you'll still have fine. Just a reminder that generally watermelons, pumpkins, they're generally a big growing plant. So unless you're thinking about staking your watermelons, you need space. So if you have a small property, watermelon is not the best thing to as an idea to grow. Make sure you look at the amount of days to maturity because some watermelons do take some time to mature on the vine. There are some earlier harvesting, smaller varieties of watermelons that are available. Ontario, they grow great. There's actually a lot of watermelons grown in Ontario. But you want them to be able to harvest within 100 days. With like 100 days is probably the max that it would go. So this is from Michael. I was gifted a small fig tree, right? It's been wrapped and dormant in the shed all winter. When and how should I take it out? So if you want right now, you could actually unwrap it, take it out, and you could actually put it inside if you had some room inside your home. Then what you could do is in mid-May, you could then put it outside. But usually what you want to do is even if you want to take it out right now, it'll be fairly dormant. You can take it out, but this is where you're going to have that whole thing where you can take it out and you maybe have to put it back in. Because if our temperature dips below -5, I would recommend you bring it back in. So you can bring it, this week's nice and warm. We're starting to get more warm, consistent periods of weather, but we can still have some chillier conditions. But now's the time to get it out of dormancy. I don't want it wrapped too long inside. So you bring it out, you're going to put it outside, you're going to water it, put it in partial sun first, and then you're going to move it into more sun gradually. So partial sun for about a week, and then thereafter start to move it more into full sun. And then you're going to make sure that you water it. And then as soon as you start to see it crack, you're going to start to do some fertilizing. If you see that temperature dip at night, then you're going to want to bring it in. Figs are hardy. They can take temperatures down to about -3. But if they get any colder than that, it can cause some damage for them as well. This is a good question, actually, really good question. When should I start raking leaves out of my flower beds? When should I add more soil? Thank you. This is from Sonia. So in early spring, we actually want to leave some of those leaves there. We really don't want to work on our gardens until they actually dry up. We just had a bunch of rain that happened. And because we had all that rain, our lawns yesterday, actually Friday, my son was out in one of the tractors in one of our fields and he got stuck out there because it's wet right now. So we want the lawn to firm up. As well, what we want to do is leave some of those leaves there because we will have some pollinating insects that are just laying there. So as soon as the lawn really dries and we're starting to see that it's firm underfoot, we can start then raking, adding more soil. As you can add more soil whenever you want. That's going to improve the soil. Generally, doing that before your perennials start to sprout and grow is the easiest because you can see where things are at and you're not dealing with putting soil around areas and working around plants with leaves on them. So that's easy. But I would wait another week just to let things dry up. And then I would do it like next weekend is when you could start doing that as well out there. We got a shout out from Windsor. Good morning to you. We got another question here. Hi, Frankie. Is it too early to use Grub Be Gone this week in Southern Ontario? No, I actually reached out to make sure that I knew the correct applications and some of the testing that's been done on early application of Grub Be Gone. You can go ahead and put it down. So, but the key is, once again, the key, wet lawn. The lawn needs to be wet and then it needs to be watered in. So on a day where we actually, like last week where we had some good rain that was coming in, another day. This week's pretty dry, so I don't know if I would put it on until near the later of the week when we have some more forecasted rain coming in, because the rain really helps it work into the soil. And we need to have more moisture at this time of year because the grubs are a little bit deeper. So definitely we can't have the lawn too dry at this time of year. Super important out there. Cheryl saying happy Easter. Good morning to you as well out there. We got a happy Easter and good morning to Penetang this morning from Anne. Thank you to you and your family as well out there as well. Brenda saying good morning and happy Easter to you and your family as well. The Easter Bunny. Suzanne, come visit Glen Echo Nursery and the Greenbelt while the Greenbelt still exists. Wide open spaces, good for your spirit. Suzanne, I've been delivering pansies to Glen Echo Nursery since I was probably 7 or 8 years old. I would go there with my father and deliver. My father still delivers pansies and pansy bowls to Glen Echo Nurseries, a great nursery. I'll give a shout out to them as well. If you just want to drive up the road a little bit, a shout out to Mansfield, Ontario, to D&H Garden Center. D&H Garden Center is my cousins, Dominic and Helen. And then a shout out to my family business, which is Bradford Greenhouse Garden Gallery. So that's in Barrie and also in Bradford. We have 2 locations. And then my other cousins, I'll give a shout out to Farragine Greenhouse. It's my cousin Peter, which they have a nice little small garden center right in Bradford itself. But once again, my family business is Bradford Greenhouse's Garden Gallery. So yeah, if you want to go check out some garden centers, there's some good things to be doing out there as well. This is what I love is that we have people out there commenting as well. You can see Susan's replying to Sonia. I wait until temperatures are 10 degrees for about 3 to 5 days straight to kill any beneficial insects, and then I add soil too. So it's the same basis. Usually when you're in early spring, the consideration is for drier conditions. So once we get more consistent temperatures of 10 degrees and we have a dry out there, the reason why we want the lawn to be dry and the gardens to be dry, if we're out there working and they're not dry, we'll create compaction. So we'll do more harm than help. And then the 10 degrees for a few days will allow those beneficial insects to get away from those leaves that are there. Is there grass seed that doesn't burn with dog urine? So Kelly, there isn't. The dog urine actually has a high acidity. So generally that comes with female dogs. You can speak to your vet as well, because there are some supplements, what you can do that you can put with your dog food that will actually calm the acidity of your dog's urine. That can be helpful as well. Just training the dog to go into one set area is also very helpful. If you do have burn patches in your lawn, you just want to rake those patches. There's an easy seed dog patch that you can put down. So you're raking and then you're just spreading this down. It actually has the mulch, it has grass seed, fertilizer, and it will also have some horticultural lime. That horticultural lime neutralizes the acidity of the urine and make sure that you'll get good grass seed and will actually help. So that will the neutralization of the acidity of the lawn will allow grass to regrow in that area. Question, can we do corn gluten now? Yes, indeed. You can do corn gluten down now. It's good to put it down in the morning dews will actually help break it down as well. Sometimes when you put corn gluten down, you can see some birds out there because it is made with corn. Sometimes some birds will eat some of that corn gluten and it's not harmful at all. Thanks for the article on strawberry going to uncover this weekend. Awesome. You are welcome, Wendy. So Wendy sent me an email. Some of the times, if it's a little bit more detail that you need in terms of the question that you have, I'll give a brief little answer, and then I'll generally give you a link to a really good, juicy article that will give you all the information that you need. Hi, Frankie. This is from Kelly. Happy Easter. How can I avoid getting maggots inside my sweet peppers? Thank you. So generally, this can happen. That the maggots get inside your pepper after the development of the bloom. So even when they're starting just before to flower, an application of insecticidal soap, really good. Thereafter, after they finish their bloom period and you start to see that little bit of that pepper start to form, another application of insecticidal soap is super beneficial. The issue is once the maggot gets inside the pepper, there's really no control that's available right now because of the cosmetic pesticide ban, because then you would need a systemic to actually take care of that inside. So we really want to prevent that insect or insects getting on the pepper when they're just going before a bloom stage and then after the bloom stage. So Bug Be Gone is super helpful for that as well. This is Tanya giving a good shout out too. Is it a good idea to spread clover seeds if you have challenges with grass seeds? Benefits to clover. So clover is now becoming exceptionally popular when you're mixing clover and grass seed together. Clover will actually put nitrogen back into the soil, so it can actually help the other grass that's there. It will balance out. Clover, the benefit is you can walk on it, it's soft. The benefit is clover, when you cut it, you won't see the bloom. So you're generally cutting your lawn before it goes to bloom. It won't give you a perfect looking lawn, but it will give you a lawn that actually can help with even some dog issues that are out there, or if you're having a problem growing lawns in more shaded spaces. So mixed clover and grass seed, like white clover, you want to use white clover and grass seed. If you want to use that for a lawn, it's really a good thing. And it can be a great benefit that's out there as well. We got Tanya saying, bless you. And this is to everybody out there. Suzanne saying the same to everybody out there, and bless everyone out there on this Easter Sunday morning as you're going to be heading off to church. And speaking of which, I'm at 30 minutes right now. So I'm going to give another question just to end this off. I would now love a chef and gardener. Sneezing is a sure sign spring is here. That is right, Sherry. I'm not a chef. I'm a cook. I love to cook, and I am a gardener that's out there. And this is Suzanne applying to Tanya, where she did that with her lawn as well. It's great, stays green through drought times of the summer. So that clover and grass lawn is really great. That's out there as well. So I'm just going to say one last little shout out to Kim, who's saying happy Easter from Stratford. To all those out there on this Easter, let's make sure it's happy. Let's make sure it's healthy that's out there. I just want to give you kind of my contact information as well. Once again, if you want to find me, you can always email me, frankie@frankieflowers.com. You can see my email at the bottom there. Frankieflowers.com is the website. Go on the website, scroll down to the bottom, join the newsletter. You can find out more information about what's going on in the world of Frankie Flowers, and as well what's going on out there in your world. So for all those, I just want to make sure you guys have an amazing, I'm just going to take this down, an amazing Easter, health and happiness, blessings, and let's enjoy this week weather-wise. Let's get out there. Let's start gardening, guys. Let's start growing. It's a good time. It's lots of fun, and have a blooming good day. Don't eat too much turkey, because then you're like tired. That's not good. Okay, guys, bye. Sure.